everybody. Welcome inside this beautiful 600 square foot houseboat. Houseboat.
Okay, all right, okay.
Boat house.
It's a floating home.
All right, I'll give you that.
And it's actually a key difference because a floating home is a house that floats. No, but it's built onto a float, whereas a houseboat is more like a boat with a hull and a motor, so it can move on its own, but this definitely can't move on its own.
No, it can't.
Hello again, guys. I'm Alexis.
And I'm Christian, and welcome.
This is where we show you rad small space rentals and our ideas for how to make them work for full-time living.
And stick around to the end of the tour to get some ideas on how to live full-time on a houseboat house.
Or floating home.
Boat house.
This adorable small floating home is located in the West Bay Marina of Olympia, Washington. Fun fact, it's the capital of Washington.
It is. We can see the Capitol building down there.
And it's 32 feet long on the inside and about 15 feet wide. And it's 2-story. And as you can see, it's a 6'2" man for reference.
Yeah, the ceiling's a little low, and the cool thing is there's a little bow to it, but it's a little shorter over there, so it's about 6'3" on the sides.
So you can still stand up.
Yes, yeah, I can definitely stand up. Here and upstairs.
I really love that it's like slightly curved.
Yeah, we always like curved roofs for whatever reason.
Yeah, there's something like soothing about curviness, and they really leaned into that with the round windows and some of the other fixtures that we'll show you, which I think just feels right for living on the water. Like, things being perfectly square just doesn't feel right.
So we're in the living room, and we have a couple of things in here that Alexis and I both love. One Alexis is a chair.
Ooh, and look at this, it's a recliner.
How funny is that?
I think this would be perfect for tiny houses.
It would be, it's like narrow, it's pretty sweet. But my thing is a sofa. Look at this sofa! Look at it! Look how huge it is! I mean, again, 6'2". Look, this is huge. It's massive.
I feel like you can make a house out of that sofa.
Yeah, it's massive. And where this isn't like a traditional tiny house, what is it, 600 square feet? You know, so it's huge. You can still have, in a small-ish space, you can still have something that's big and comfortable and beautiful, you know? That's something that people just forget to think about.
I think he just likes it because he likes to nap.
I do like to nap. I do really like to nap. Look at that. Look. So there's a really simple bar over here, which is great. It's got the TV sitting on it. This morning we had breakfast sitting at this bar. I just picked the TV up and put it on the floor. So we could have a nice view of a new boat moving in next door.
It's a good position for easy viewing. I do think you could probably mount this somehow just so you could gain more of that counter space for working or eating and, like Christian said, enjoying the view. But I do love that they included, I feel like a small space staple is a little table that can just tuck right into the couch. Gives you just more flexibility. If you watch our videos, you know that we love tables. Tables. Gotta have a table in a small space.
Yes.
It's just functional.
Yeah, get your tables.
So welcome to the kitchen. Woo! Did you feel that? The whole place just moved. Sometimes I forget that we're on the water. We don't have a lot of boat experience.
No.
I think if you're a real boat person, it'd probably be no big deal.
Yeah.
But as a small space lover, I absolutely love this kitchen. It's huge, but still has that thing that I love, which is always pivoting to everything you need to reach. And tons and tons of drawer storage, which is my favorite kind of storage. I hate digging into deep cabinets, and you can see how super deep this counter is. So drawers is the best way to utilize effectively any kind of deep space.
And I like that there's no straight line really on the counter. There's a curve here and a curve on this end and a curve on that. It's just cool.
It feels right.
Yeah. Oh, I just got dizzy there for a second.
A couple other great small space ideas in here are, one, the upper cabinets. You can see that they have glass doors, and I like this because it keeps the space feeling tidy, but not closed in. It makes it still feel open.
Yeah, totally.
And another favorite of ours,
big old sink. Big old sink.
Big old sink. Because in a small space or a tiny space, you don't need to have a tiny sink, and there's no dishwasher in here, and so this makes doing dishes a breeze.
Okay, so this is a boat house. What is it?
Floating home.
Floating home in Northwest Washington. You know, so it's on the water, it's on tidal. It's always wet here. It's raining outside right now. So there are two really huge dehumidifiers in this place, and that is probably a must just to keep that moisture down, because it's already super moist outside, so it can get super moist inside, and you want to tamp that down a good bit.
That's always kryptonite for a small space, is moisture problems, but I bet even more so when you're living on the water.
Way more. So behind me is a coffee bar, which is built into the hallway, which is a great use of space.
It's multifunctional, which is a tiny house must, as we all know.
Yes.
And at the far end, they added hooks, so it can be a coat closet as well. Feeling lucky? 'Cause I am, and that's thanks to Lots of Slots, a super fun, free-to-play mobile slots game. Play anywhere, anytime with endless thrilling slots that will keep you entertained for hours. Don't worry, this isn't a real money gambling game, so there's no risk of going broke. But you will feel rich when you hit huge jackpots. Unlock over 77 million free coins when you download Lots of Slots using our promo code TINY. Simply pop in the code after signing up, and you'll immediately boost your chances of hitting that first grand jackpot. Use the download link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen. Lots of Slots is anything but boring. Win big within minutes. My top fave, Piggy Graze. It's freaking cute. Enjoy bonus fun with a huge variety of mini games like Rescue the Fish. Join the party at Lots of Slots 7th Anniversary Bash. Dive into daily missions, cool mini games, non-stop raffles for a chance to score up to $3K in prizes. Hop over to Facebook, drop a Happy Lots of Slots 7th Anniversary comment on the pinned post. You can snag an iPhone and more. Download the game today with our code TINY.
And at the end of the hallway is the bathroom. The first time I walked in here, I was wondering what the heck was behind this curtain. And we now call it the room of requirement, because it's like a multi-purpose room. It's got the microwaves that they didn't want to put in the kitchen, some storage. We actually put our clothes in there for while we're staying in the houseboat. And there's also room in there for a washer and dryer, so that's pretty cool. And then the rest of this is bathroom. So behind this door, which is something I like, it's a separate stall for the toilet. But the cool thing is when you open this door, it actually latches to the other side. It makes it so the whole bathroom is closed off, not just the toilet room. So if you're two people, like Alexis and I, someone can be in there and still use the rest of the bathroom. So you have options. Next to that is the shower. And the shower is pretty cool because it's pretty, it's tiled, it's big, but it has this really awesome curved ceiling. I don't know if it's the light blue and the white tile, but it feels like a little spa situation happening in there. And I actually like having a mirror in the shower because then I can shave.
I think it feels like a spaceship.
Alexis thinks it feels like a spaceship because the head of the shower lights up, so it lets you know when it's hot or when it's cold. So,
and the shape of it, like I'm in a little capsule about to take off.
It's enough from the peanut gallery. And over here is the classic tiny house sink, which is like 2 feet by 8 inches or something. It's tiny. This is a great sink for washing your hands and brushing your teeth and that kind of stuff. And right above the sink is this cute little mirror. Yeah, it's cute, but it is not as practical as I'd like because all I can see is my chin right here. That's it. Nothing else. I can see my chin. I can't see my hair. Nothing. So I guess that's tall people problems. Wah, wah.
And up these stairs is the bedroom. And they're not too steep, so I feel pretty safe walking up and down them, especially with this added railing here, because there's been a couple times when the wind has rocked the entire house that I've really relied on these, you know, not to die. So
don't die. So here's the big, huge bedroom upstairs. The cool thing up here is that, you know, that motion back and forth, it's amplified up here, which is great.
Makes it fun. Remind you you're on the ocean, or the sound anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, there's a queen bed here, and it could easily fit a king bed if you were so inclined.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's got a full-size closet, which is really nice in a small space. But probably the best part of the upstairs is the deck. Welcome to the upstairs deck.
How cool is this?
I think this is one of the best parts about living on a houseboat. And this houseboat in particular, because of the amazing views from up here.
Yeah. I mean, and to have so much outdoor living space, I mean, you could have 10 people up here cooking on this grill outside. I mean, this would be awesome.
It makes me feel rich. Somehow. Like I'm on a yacht.
Yeah. So this deck is right off the bedroom, but it's not the only way that you have to come out here. So there's a little spiral staircase that goes down to a covered patio on the back. So that's another way you can access this whole space.
Important things that we think you should keep in mind if you're considering living full-time in a floating home or even a houseboat.
Boathouse.
Well, first off, you're living on water.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of quirks that come with it.
All kinds of quirks.
But seriously, we've joked about it. You know, the house does move. So if you haven't had much experience on the water, motion sickness is a factor. I think we're both a little motion sick prone, so great choice for us to rent this floating home. But I mean, mostly we've really enjoyed it.
And it's not that bad. There was actually a big storm that came in last night. It was blowing the house around like crazy. And that's really the only time it was that bad. Every once in a while, it's just like, oh yeah, it's a boat.
Yeah,
house.
I think that's it. Like sleeping, I think there's something soothing about it.
Yeah.
However, if there's a big storm, you could be rocking and rolling and there's nothing you can do about it. You're just going to have to ride it out.
You can go to the bar up the street.
Well, that's true.
Do that.
Yeah, there's this great restaurant, Tugboat Annie's, just on the edge of the marina.
And another part is like access. You have to walk down a gangway. So the gangway is what attaches us to the land. So you have to walk down that and then all of these other little docks all over the place. And the tide goes in and out. So it goes up and down. So things are moving all of the time. So you have to be aware of that. And one, if you're drunk, and two, if it's winter, it could be really sketchy out there. So it's one of those things that you just have to
keep your wits about you.
Totally keep your wits about.
Because there's a bit of a walk between where you're going to park your car and walk down the dock to your floating home, it's probably a good idea to invest in a cart. Some kind of rolling cart.
A little buggy, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, like something like they might use if you live in a big city like New York. You know, something that makes carrying groceries easier, you know, eliminate a couple trips.
So I can imagine every marina's different. This one doesn't have that much power for each one of its slips. And the slip is where you park the boat. So in this case, it's where you park the floating house. So this house, it seems like it only runs on 30 amps, which isn't a ton, using heaters that are plugged into the wall. And yesterday, I think I had one too many heaters plugged in and we popped a breaker.
So when you're researching marinas or floating home communities, because those are a thing, you want to look into how much power access you're going to have. So you can consider how many electric versus non-electric appliances you might want. In this house, they have an electric 12-gallon water tank which is not shabby. I will say it was a little difficult for me to get through a shower with washing my hair. Yesterday I ran out before I could shave my legs. Not the end of the world. In this house I would consider a propane tankless hot water heater, not just for the longer showers, but also because of the limited power, as Christian mentioned.
Yeah, and they already have propane here because there is a propane stove.
So you always want to consider the cost of living in various kinds of alternative dwellings. Probably the best thing about the floating home, especially in this marina, is, catch this, it costs less than $550 a month for the slip, the spot, and electric. So that's cheap.
That's a good deal, yeah.
Yeah, you are required to have insurance to live here, and that plan can cost you anywhere from $500 to $2,000 a year, but that's not crazy.
No.
Oh, and your rent includes water and 2 free pump outs a month.
Yes, so there is a tank on board. Where it is, I have no idea, but but it's here somewhere. So that's why you would need a pump out every, let's say 2 weeks, is to empty out however big a black water tank that you would have.
Yeah, and I would imagine that in such a small home with just 1 bathroom, you could probably get by with that just fine. So your monthly living expenses are super low, and in many marinas, you can have $1 million views. You got gorgeous views.
Totally.
Now the cost of the house itself, that can be spendy. Buying a pre-owned floating home can be way expensive because it is such a cool space, a cool way to live that's affordable on a monthly basis, but to get in, you might be spending $500,000 plus. So
that's a lot.
Right?
That's a lot.
Like any home, especially in the tiny world, building your own is going to be the best way to save money.
So there's a lot of maintenance on a floating home that's just like a regular house because you have a lot of the same systems. You have water, you have power, you also have siding and a roofing. So the maintenance for those would be just like a house. It's when you go under the water, that's where it becomes different. So I just saw a guy walking with a wetsuit on, and it looked like he was going to go and get the barnacles off the bottom of a boat. So you might have to hire somebody to go and inspect underneath every so often just to make sure everything's okay.
And that only has to happen every few years, I think. And I did read that floating homes compared to houseboats have less maintenance because there's less boat components. We're on flotation device, but we're not actually a boat. So
right. There's no engine, we're not being propelled anywhere, so that's one whole system that you don't have to worry about.
Oh, and if you want to take a look at an actual houseboat, a boathouse, we'll put a link to a tour we did of a tiny, very tiny houseboat in the description below. Location, location, location. That is the other top consideration when considering full-time living in a boat or a floating home.
As long as it's in the water, I guess, right?
I guess. Like we mentioned, this floating home is in a marina, which has a slip, and it does allow for liveaboards or full-time living. Not every marina does. There are also floating home communities that could be set up like a co-op or a condo. And from what I understand, those can be more expensive, but sometimes come with more amenities. So there's a trade-off. But those could be a little bit hard to get into because there's only so many open spaces. Marinas sometimes have more coming and going of boats. Of course, it varies from place to place, but you might have to do a little bit of hunting. And keep in mind, the proximity to your neighbors is pretty darn close.
It's really close. It is, feet away, as opposed to like most RV parks, you've got 10 feet or so before there's another RV. Here, there's some places it's like a foot or two. Some are touching. And as soon as we started shooting, the guy next door decided to turn up his radio, so we were listening to what he was playing before. So there is that.
The upside is that, especially in a marina, not everyone lives here full time, and some seasons like winter are probably going to be pretty slow. Yeah. And also close proximity can mean that you make friends with your neighbors.
Totally, yeah. And there wasn't a lot of people here last night, so yeah, it was quiet. It was very quiet.
It's just, I know it's not everyone's cup of tea to be cozy. And I think finally, you know, it's good to reiterate that we're on the water, and so danger's a thing.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty clumsy lady, okay? And like when I step off this porch, there is like, I don't know, 6 inches.
Yeah, it depends if it's 6 inches to a foot because it moves.
Right, where I could drop into the water if I'm not paying attention, or drop my keys in the water.
Or a phone or something, so yeah.
Yeah, or the spiral staircase that looks so cool in the back. I'm kind of been freaked out about using it when it's wet at all because I could just see, whoop, it becomes a slip and slide.
Yeah.
So keep your wits about you and be safe.
Yes, absolutely.
And we'd love to know if you would like to live in a floating home and what you think about this beautiful floating home. Could you live here?
Yeah, totally. Let us know in the comments below.
Thank you for watching our video and for stopping by Tiny House Expedition. I'm Alexis.
And I'm Christian. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
And for more tiny home tours and stories, click the videos below.
And join us on Instagram for bonus content,
including face-to-face conversations with us. We hope to see you there.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good one.